Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the new movie, The Amateur. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. That way maybe one day I can stop feeling like the amateur at everything in my life. The synopsis is as follows. Charlie Heller is a brilliant CIA decoder whose world comes crashing down when his wife dies in a London terrorist attack. When his supervisors refuse to take action, his intelligence becomes the ultimate weapon as he embarks on a dangerous trek across the globe to track down those responsible. So without further ado, let's get into the 6 things that make a movie great. 1. The plot. Charlie and Sarah are this very cute couple that work really well together despite their vast differences. Sarah's about to go on a trip, Charlie decides not to go with her, and a few movie minutes later, Charlie finds out that Sarah died in a terrorist attack in London. Charlie starts to uncover some certain things about the department that make it look corrupt, and realizes very quickly that he has to take things into his own hands. Charlie is forced to use his brains instead of brawn to take down these killers and avenge his murdered wife. That was a really interesting premise for a movie, which is what attracted me to this film. But the way it came across on screen was horrible. First and foremost, this movie is an absolute snooze fest, and one of the biggest things that contributes to that is that you know who all the bad guys are pretty much within the first 20 minutes of the movie. You know who all of them are, and nothing changes in their status the whole movie. There's no twists or turns, there's no mystery, it's all gone. So they tell the most basic version of the story that they can, and that was a detriment to the film in a huge way. There were a couple easy changes that they could have made to tell a much more interesting story, or waited to reveal certain things until later in the film and held on to that mystery, and it would have been a great plot. And what should be an open and shut simple revenge flick ends up feeling like a very bloated and bland movie that doesn't even really give you justice at the end. So for me, plot gets a thumbs down. 2 is family friendliness. The Amateur is rated PG-13. There's a very mild bit of profanity, a mild to moderate bit of action and violence, and a couple disturbing moments. But this movie doesn't push the envelope on anything. So use your discretion, but for me, family friendliness gets a 50-50. 3 is acting and script. I think Rami Malek is a really good actor, and I've wanted him to be the lead in a film for a long time. This was not that movie. I really wanted his acting to instill emotion into the audience, but you just felt nothing, and a lot of that had to do with Rami Malek's lack of emotional performance in this movie. Rachel Brosnahan is a fantastic actress, but she is barely present in this movie at all, and I think that was a big mistake. John Berthenol essentially makes a cameo in this movie, and Holt McCallany plays one of the least inspired antagonists that I've ever seen. Not gonna win any awards there. I liked the on-screen moments between Rami Malek and Lawrence Fishburne, but those interesting moments kind of get lost in all of the fluff that's in this movie. I think the best on-screen chemistry was between Rami Malek and Catriona Balfe, and that was one of the most interesting and enjoyable parts about the film. And the script for this movie was okay. Some of the characters had decent lines, others literally had the most dumb, unconvincing lines that I've ever seen. Some of the storytelling in this movie is so bad. I was not a huge fan of this area of the film, so for me, acting and script get a thumbs down. 4 is character development. One of the most essential parts of making a revenge flick is that you care about the characters involved. And simply put, this movie did not spend enough time developing the relationship between Charlie and Sarah for us to care at all. One of those simple changes, I think, is that Sarah could have been kidnapped instead of killed, and that would help keep the audience attached to the film and the character of Charlie trying to find his wife, as he has these flashbacks about their relationship and his wife kind of guiding him through this whole thing. But again, there's no mystery or twists here, and there's no character development. In addition to that, both the main antagonists and the secondary antagonists for this movie literally have no drive and no reason for doing what they did. When there is no passion or purpose or reason for them to do what they did, it makes the movie feel empty, and it makes these characters feel empty and boring. Very, very boring. I will say, one of the things about character development is that Charles and Inkling have more on-screen chemistry than Charles and Sarah. But in a revenge flick that's supposed to be about Charles avenging Sarah, if you care less about that relationship than Charles's relationship with Inkling, you're clearly doing something wrong. For me, character development gets a thumbs down. 5 is visuals and CGI. Visually, this movie was fine. You pretty much see all the moments of action for this movie in the trailers, so there's not really anything new here. But the deaths were unique, so I have to give the movie that. There were a couple moments of bad CGI in the film, but they came at the hands of moments that were shocking enough to cause the woman behind me to scream twice. Honestly, that was more entertaining than this movie as a whole, so I'm okay with that. This area was not the worst in the movie, so I can't be too hard on it. So for me, visuals and CGI get a 50-50. And 6 is rewatchability. The Amateur clocks in at just over 2 hours long, but boy oh boy did it feel longer. Because of the massive pacing issues, and the audience knowing who all of the bad guys are from the first 20 minutes of the movie, and a lack of pretty much everything else, this movie was extremely boring and hard to get through. There are definitely things in this movie that could have worked if they had been slightly different, but it seems that the director was not able to make those simple decisions to make a better movie. I would definitely much rather take a 2-hour nap than ever have to watch this movie again. For me, rewatchability gets a thumbs down. With all these areas considered, I have to give The Amateur a 4.5 out of 10. The concept of this movie was fine, the deaths were pretty interesting, and there were multiple instances of on-screen chemistry between characters that, if indulged further upon, could have been really interesting. But this movie had massive pacing issues, it felt bloated and boring, you didn't care about the characters involved as they were all horribly written, and the extremely bland storytelling could have been changed very simply and made a much better movie, and it wasn't. So with all that in mind, while this movie may seem interesting in concept, the delivery is really poor, and I don't think it's worth your time or money to go see in theaters. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen The Amateur, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.